Good to see you all. So it's been happening for a while. My son and I, two of us, went to Minneapolis one day. I'd read in the Tribune about where to find people. Find them on the Midtown Greenway. It's an old railroad line that goes just a block north of Lake Street. Highway 7 turns into Lake Street, pretty much. I never knew Minneapolis before doing this, really. But and we went and parked along the Greenway and grabbed some bags full of stuff and walked. It was very hot that day. We found nobody. And then what? Okay, so then we went up on the street and found our first person, John. And we met John on last trip, and he's off the streets now. We hardly ever find what happens with people, but John's doing well, very well. But July 20th, we started just traveling, and eventually it's evolved into a little bit different than it was. But I come at this as a Christian. The Bible is full of things that say what we ought to do, And we pray with people, and we have a container of Bibles. I wear this hat each time, and just kind of tell people what we're up to, But supplies, first of all, supplies. So this is the Reach Room in the middle school, and for 4 years they have organized a supply drive around Christmas time. A box there, and a box in the foyer, and a box at the high school, and they're full of great things. And then other supplies, a woman who doesn't attend our church brings a pile like that every couple months. Wonderful. Her name is Sue. This is a different youth group so I'm just going to say we get things from all sorts of places. This was last week down in Sioux City. They had very nice name brand boots for $10 or $15, so I pretty much cleaned them out. We have spent about $67,000 to this point, and 100% of it has gone to supplies and food. We have spent nothing on gas, nothing on anything else. So when there's opportunities like that, or a couple months ago, spent $400 on underwear at Walmart because they were exceptionally good deal compared to normal. And Thrivent, we use our Thrivent grants, and that's been wonderful. This happens to be a box of shoes mostly and clothing from my brother who lives in Virginia. They've got, I believe, 10 cats in the house, so our cat recognizes the smell. He comes and pays attention. This was our basement. 7 years we had our basement full of things. And it just got to the point of saying, okay, let's try something else. And we started looking around. And some person, then we went to tour a space, and it was $650 a month. It's like, no, again, we have not spent anything on anything besides people, and that was not in the cards. I was not going to do that. And we came across the owners of Vivid Image. I put this here with their permission, but they're not interested in, any kind of recognition, but I told them I'd like to thank them. We've been there for a couple years. Steve Gasser, Beth Gasser. Beth has been on many trips. Also, Colleen Young has been on many trips in the American Family Insurance office downstairs. And this is kind of, I took these this morning because I found some old pictures, and it wasn't very full of, it takes a lot of time and organization, and things have been neglected with the end of a school year. I've been teaching at the middle school for 31 years, and so that keeps me busy, obviously. But this is blankets and these sleeping mats and recent donations that are just waiting to be sorted. There is a sorting party with some youth that are coming here for a mission trip this afternoon, so that'll be great. But we've got shelving, and just there's the pile of boots from Sierra back there, and we just try to keep track of things, and we have our Thrivent banner hanging back there. And another one there, and just a lot of things, and we gather supplies for every trip. We bring 2 pickups now. It's kind of evolved into 2 pickups. My brother Greg I already forgot his title. Sorry, Greg. District Governor. Yes, Lieutenant Governor, thank you. He has been here, and he has gone on almost every trip since November of 17, coming from Madison originally and now Montevideo. Michael on the left, it's been a while since we've seen him. Morgan and Mercy. We've had about 100 different people go along on trips from various youth groups, from our own church, family, friends. I try to invite everybody. It's quite the experience. It's difficult, but it's rewarding. This is underneath. We've all driven across the top of this. This is the exit from 394 into the tunnel, right? Lowry Hill Tunnel. That's the road right up above. So we spend a lot of time there. And this is also there. And we've met some people once. We've met some people 30 times at least. Yep.
Jeff, you said it's difficult at sometimes. Could you elaborate on that?
Seeing people in the condition they're in and hearing of their struggles and knowing that we are providing some supplies and attention, but then we go home. And there are people that have gone along on trips that don't, it's not easy to do. And some people have gone along once or twice and that's that. Other people have, I have a regular group of 20 or so that, but it's difficult. Yeah, because you get, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, it's time to go. Sometimes, most of the time we're out of supplies. Most of the time it's just so much to see in one day. For example, on the left, first time we met him, he was in a wheelchair. He had been hit in the head with a baseball bat, he said. And then we saw him a couple months later, and then he had a walker, and then eventually a cane. But we take 2 pickups of things. We have a tub of pants, a tub of shirts, a tub of about 25 hygiene items. We've got a bag of socks, in the summer, ball caps. We start with Taco Bell and Powerade. Everybody appreciates, we could do cheaper, we could go sandwiches or something, but they appreciate something hot, something, and that's never turned down hardly. And I've been surprised at the reception we've gotten. I really thought people would, who the heck do you think you are? That's never happened. Never. Once in a while you find someone that, a couple of months ago, this woman came through the parking lot as we were helping others, and she was swearing up a storm and yelling at us and gesturing, and she was definitely troubled, but we didn't try to interact with her any more than that, But for the most part, people appreciate being treated like people. That's the big part. This is Lamar. Saw Lamar back on July 20th of 16. Continue to see him. He does have a place now. Sometimes these people are not homeless, as called a homeless ministry, but we find people in all sorts of, and they have hopes and dreams like us. May not be able to reach them. Talked about getting a job in construction. They've got hopes and dreams. They're people like us. Just life has been different for them. One thing that stands out also, this is right above the tunnel. The tunnel is just off on the right, underneath there. Another native, a lot of natives in the area up by Loring Park in the sculpture garden area. How things come up, how you listen more than you talk, right? But I don't remember how it came up about when he grew up. He was talking about his mom and how his mom used to hit him with a frying pan. And he's gesturing like this and just doing this and kind of reliving it. I could tell it was just like reliving the moments of his childhood and just, the brokenness he has now. So many of them, have gone through so many things. John's great. There's Taco Bell. John sleeps under a tree pretty much by a little library, and he prefers his bedroom slippers or his open-toed sandals, even in the winter. A couple times we got him to try on some shoes once. He had size 14, so next time we brought 14s. And he tried them on. He had them on for about a half hour, and then he just couldn't do it. He said, no. He liked his bedroom slippers. But he never takes much very slow drawl. Oh, I think I'm good, you know. But we meet such a variety of people, and it's hard to explain. That's what might be evident here. Richard, we feed people. Besides bringing Taco Bell, we have lunch somewhere, typically McDonald's. We always find people around there. This is Five Guys by chance, but Richard from Mankato originally. We've seen him quite a few times. Sometimes you get a lot from people. Sometimes they don't say much at all, you know. So they don't really know their stories, but sometimes we do. And this is at a Methodist church. We've never really had any trouble with anyone. The police once, we were parked in a no parking zone, whatever, but you know, but otherwise it's been interesting. 3 different churches have told us we're not welcome on their property. This being one of them. And they have their reasons. They say, it's really nice of what you're doing, but 3 different times. Well, actually 3 different churches, many more times from, and that's been interesting. I believe as a Christian, we're not going to church, right? We are believers and spreading the word and doing things, right? I mean, it's a whole different ballgame, I think, when you hear from a church that says, well, you know, somebody broke a window once. Yeah, you're in Minneapolis. I mean, heck. That's pretty good if it's one window, you know. This is the same spot, really close to the tunnel, a busy intersection. We pray with people very often. Alicia praying, I forget her name and his name with the sign. A lot of times we find people signing. We provide markers, but sometimes I'm not the one really interacting with people, just kind of standing back and, you know, each of us, you know, let the young man, the student there, Landon and Glenn and Alicia, you know, let them do the talking. But sometimes, you know, we sit at a spot like this, see 4 or 5 people, and we might be there an hour. Mostly, again, listening, you know. This is just from the last trip. We've known Rose, most of the time. We saw her in the fall of 16, I'm sure. That's her sign. And it's true. This is in the McDonald's parking lot. Again, we kind of get out the supplies and help them to, you know what we have. And again, they ask why. Well, we tell them, you know, do things in the name of Jesus. We have our container of Bibles and things there. And there are a lot of believers on the streets. That's for sure. So this was right on the corner of Hennepin and Lake, and so we just we park where we can and get out the stuff, and this is just on the same sidewalk, and we get a dozen people, you know, from various. We try to find them sometimes, or they come to us, and just listen and help them to know what we have. And this is the same roadway by the Basilica. He's probably at the on-ramp to 394. I mean, we've driven across this area, you know, all of us. They lived there for a couple months, and the city doesn't know what to do. They move people, they leave people alone, they build fences. It's very random. It's very random, and I don't blame them. You know, I can't judge anything on what people do. We go, we leave, you know, we're not there at night when things happen. We're not there when some of them are at their worst. So I'm not blaming anything about what the city does, but they kick them out of here, and then they put up a little thing somewhere else, you know. That's DJ's home, again, underneath the same roadways. But then the city built taller and sturdier fencing all around that, so no one's there anymore. But that was a good place. They're out of sight. I mean, if that's what the city should want, I would think. But yeah, DJ lived in there for a while. That's Richard. There's the Basilica. We sit in their parking lot, except we've been told twice that we can't. But we do anyway. But Richard makes signs, and he says he sells some of them on Sunday mornings. But I asked him for a picture because of the mats that people at church make, just made out of plastic bags, like $700 for a mat. And other people give those to us also. We have way more than we need at this time. But it's helpful. They appreciate that. They appreciate, and that's where Richard lived for probably 10 months. Right on, the sculpture garden is right to the left on the next corner. And so sometimes the city moves people, sometimes, again, several months. He had some nasty, I can't remember what he had, big, huge scars and scabs on his leg. There are all sorts of health issues, of course. And we stop in a variety of places. We kind of have a area set up that it takes all day to cover that area. And we've been many places, exploring many places that had a camp and now they don't, whatever. But we kind of have an area uptown, then we head north to the Lowry Hill and the tunnel and the area with the sculpture garden and all that, and Loring Park. Then we go to the Basilica. Then we often go over to the intersection of Lake and 35W. And that's a whole day for sure. And the things vary here and there, and we've done all sorts of things, but 3 to 4 weeks is normal. And we see 35 people a trip, depends on each day is different. And sometimes you think, okay, what have we really done? What can we do? But so I remember this interaction. This is the sculpture garden's right over there, and the Walker Art Center is right over there, and we're at the edge of Loring Park. And it was really cold, and she had socks, and that was it. And we gave her a pair of socks and shoes and a coat, and then I don't think we saw her probably for like a year. And then when we saw her that a year later, from this picture, about a year later, then she told her friends, these are the people that saved me. And that's how she feels. Now, we didn't save her, but they appreciate it. They appreciate being helped. They appreciate, when we know their names, I try to do well at that. It's hard since I've been teaching for 36 years, all the names in my head. But, you come up to them later on and say, hey, how are you? And they, what? You know me? We've met? Yeah, many times. And just, they were there for a while, living in a pile of rubble, kind of a container that they had built. And then the city moves them and puts up a bunch of those road concrete, chop them in half and put a whole bunch right there so they can't sleep there anymore. What to do? They find another place, Michael there, oh man, he was so broken in so many ways physically. Seizures and hip surgery that went bad and all sorts of things. We do picnics here and there, and that's Josh. Josh, at first, severe mental health, and he wouldn't let us come near him. We would, at first when we first met, say hi, and he looked concerned, and we, okay, put down some cheeseburgers and some Powerade, but then each time we met, it was just a little more and a little more, and here he is, getting some food from our picnic, and we've known quite a few people that have died. Drugs are kind of common. Josh has died in that park. Sometimes we hear good things about people. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we don't know. We don't hear anything. But this is another picnic. This is at a little park. There's a little library. Hennepin Avenue is right here. But we hang out for an hour and a half, and just visit with people. Noi just got thinner and thinner. Noi was from Vietnam, and he lived there for a while on the side of a freeway. Joe loved to talk, tell stories, and tell him about his life. Basically, again, sometimes we hear a lot, sometimes we don't. Joe's story was he had a business, a car repair business. He lost his daughter in a car accident. He went downhill, got divorced. In this particular case, Joe had bone cancer, he had heart disease, and he drank a lot. And he died, and not sure which got him, but it was just good to meet these people and to see them repeatedly, and just they appreciated being heard and being treated like people. It's hard to put into words what happens and how it all works, and that's all I have. Any questions? Because I know I probably missed a few things. Or
have you looked into the statistics at all as far as how many are on the streets in Minneapolis?
Yeah. There's an organization called the Wilder Foundation. They do a particular time and point count on one particular night. So there's people out and about looking under bridges, looking at the places that are known to have homeless people and counting them in the shelters and all that. I think the latest was 6,000 on any given night in Minnesota.
In the whole state?
Yeah, and right. And so, one thing I wanted to mention, I can look at, we do things in Hutchinson, but it's just hard to recognize people, right? I went looking in a park this morning because some of the people have gone along. We kind of communicate, hey, I saw this guy here and here's what, And so I did kind of go, and for some reason, it's harder for me to approach people here in town, which seems weird. I don't know why, but there, it's like, oh, it's plain as day. If you're living under a bridge like that and some cardboard surrounding you, I mean, that you are homeless, and but we do things in Hutch. We have spent time, we're officially a church ministry now, mostly for the tax, what is it called? 501, 301, 801?
501.
501, thank you, yeah. And I looked into that personally to try that, and I thought, no, thank you. I wasn't interested in all the paperwork and so we are officially with our church, but we actually have more people from other places and things. Our church supports us, yes, but so many other people. We actually have, for those who Operation Hope is kind of the name the name we got a long time ago, and you can write checks for Operation Hope to our church, Oak Heights Covenant Church. Yeah, because we spend, on a given trip, we've actually arranged with the Taco Bell in St. Louis Park to give us a discount of $30 for each of our 40 burritos we order each time we go. That's been very nice. But we do that, and at lunch, depends on how many burritos are left, we will buy a lot of McDonald's sandwiches. And then the supplies. We have, as you saw my wife and I call it the place. We don't know what to call it. But we have a lot of things. But it's always something you need to buy. Always, every trip. Whether it be tarps or bungee cords or 3 or 4 different hygiene items that we don't have. The people are just so thankful. And I don't think you can beat what we hear from people. 2 or 3 trips ago, one man who actually lived in a house, in a place in Minneapolis, not a house, but anyway, lived in Minneapolis. He and this friend of his that came from St. Paul to see him a lot of different days. But he's crying because we're there to help him. And he points to the 4 or 5 of us standing there, you're an angel, you're an angel, you're an angel, while he's crying. Where can you get that kind of a reward, that kind of you're doing something that people appreciate. It's very, I don't know, very real, very, yeah. Any other questions?
Can you explain your picnics too, Jeff? I know you do those couple during the summer.
Yeah, right. We just set up, typically we've done quite a few different spots, but we try to find where we've seen people recently in big numbers or bigger numbers, We get there and bring along a grill and start grilling, and we got a table and, watermelon and pineapple and strawberries and burgers and dogs and macaroni salad and whatever. And just start, trying to find people and more come and then we, of course, have our supplies out. And yeah, a couple hours later, we've seen 20, 25 people and those are good times. As far as just hanging out with the people and listening, really.
How would you feel the youth students and such that help with this? How has it affected them? What are some examples?
One young man who has gone along probably 4 times this spring, he said to somebody who said to me that he says, when I retire and I'm done doing this, he wants to take it over.
Wow.
It's like, so that's how he feels about it, And yeah, some of those that interact the best have been kids. My nephew, Greg's son, has been along probably ever since he was 10 or so. And he, more in the past, but just really, really interacts well and just talks with people. They're less shy than adults. And again, for me, there is no problem. You know, first of all, you got burritos and you got Powerade. Truly, that's the icebreaker, and hardly anybody ever has, you know. And we go in the library and find people, go in the bus station. Our first stop is typically the little park where the picnic shots were from. And you go in the library and kind of, okay, I see a bunch of bags, you know, how do you know, very rare where you, are you homeless? You know, you try to figure out. And often by now I certainly know, and know the people, a lot of people that, yeah.
Are you finding is it pretty equal as far as the genders, or is it more men than women?
No, right. Probably 3-to-1 men. Yeah, probably 3-to-1. And the women are almost always with somebody else, for sure. Very rarely. I do remember one time at one particular location that this woman had very often people steal their things. You know, I mean, stuff management's not a strong point for some either, you know, but anyway, she had taken a few things, and I remember her, various of us offered, can we take this to your, no. She wanted to load up, you know, the things she had and go by herself, you know. A lot of times they want to be, you know, independent, but yeah, there's fewer women out and about. And I can't imagine, you know, when I get done, typically a Saturday, come home Saturday night, it's like, just feel so thankful for the stuff we have, the normal life we have, and just trying to, I mean, I can't get overwhelmed by thinking about, okay, now it's nighttime. Can you imagine being homeless at night? I can't.
Isn't it very unsafe for women too? It's,
Yeah.
my daughter helped find shelter for people, homeless people for a while when she was just out of college, and she said too that women don't want to go into the shelters even because they're afraid of their safety.
Shelters can be, they differ. There's so many shelters. There are so many, and they're used very well. But a lot of times, it doesn't take much reading or hearing from people about how shelters can be difficult in a place they don't want to go.
And you have a wish list, don't you, too?
Yeah, because we're always in need of certain things, and we don't really hardly ever decline things too. And we've put many bags out in the DAV containers out there, because there's, you know, certain things that are white, for example. Besides socks, they appreciate white socks, but you know, some of the tops and coats and stuff, no, that's not going to work. They'll be really dirty really quick. Fancier women's clothing, you know, they're not going to wear that. They're not going to choose that from what we bring. But blankets, my wife says, oh, you can't accept any more blankets. We have a lot, but you know, even in the summer we go through 20, 25 blankets, but there's a lot.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.